In this video presentation, we explore Eritrea's official narrative of sustainable development, a story driven by social justice, self-reliance, and the promise of empowering generations to transform lives. But beyond the headlines, what are the realities on the ground? In this special interview aired on June 3, 2025, we examine how these ideals compare to the lived experience of ordinary Eritreans today. Realities on the ground in Eritrea. While Eritrea's government promotes a narrative of self-reliance, social justice, and sustainable development, realities on the ground reveal a nation marked by systemic repression, severe human rights abuses, and persistent economic hardship. 1. Political repression and lack of freedoms. Claimed narrative: Eritrea is a sovereign, stable nation with a unique development model. Reality: Eritrea remains one of the world's most repressive states. Since independence in 1993, there have been no national elections, and President Isaias Afwerki rules without constitutional checks or a functioning legislature. The People's Front for Democracy and Justice, PFDJ, is the sole legal party, with all opposition banned. The 1997 Constitution, which guarantees civil rights, has never been implemented. Arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and prolonged detention without trial are routine. Political critics, journalists, and religious leaders are frequently imprisoned incommunicado, sometimes for decades. The government tightly controls information and movement, fostering a climate of fear and isolation. Human Rights Watch, World Report 2025, Eritrean Human Rights Post-Rapprochement, January 2025, OHCHR June 2024. 2. Indefinite national service and forced labor. Claimed narrative: national service builds unity and supports development. Reality: Eritrea's national service is open-ended and often amounts to forced labor. Although the law sets an 18-month limit, in practice, most Eritreans serve for years or decades, with no clear end date. Conscripts, including youth sent to the Sawa military camp before finishing secondary school, face harsh conditions, paltry pay, and arbitrary punishment. The United Nations and human rights groups equate this system to modern slavery. Many Eritreans flee the country to escape conscription, fueling a refugee crisis and brain drain. Wikipedia, Conscription in Eritrea, Human Rights Watch, World Report 2025, Eritrean Human Rights Post-Rapprochement, April 2025. 3. Human rights and religious freedom. Claimed narrative: Eritrea guarantees religious freedom and social harmony. Reality: the government recognizes only 4 religious groups and persecutes members of unregistered or non-recognized faiths, including children. Even recognized religions are tightly controlled, church leaders and believers are routinely detained, and religious gatherings outside state-sanctioned venues are banned. International human rights mechanisms, including the UN and African Commission, have been denied access, and Eritrea routinely ignores recommendations and rulings on abuses. Wikipedia, Religion in Eritrea, IPFORB, Eritrea, Restrictions to Freedom of Religion or Belief, Eritrean Human Rights Post-Rapprochement, January 2025. 4. Economic and social development. Claimed narrative: Eritrea is making steady progress on infrastructure, health, and education. Reality: economic growth is modest, with 2.9% growth in 2023 and a projected 3.1% in 2025, driven mainly by mining and services. Most exports are unprocessed minerals, and manufacturing remains minimal. Working poverty remains high, with about half the population living in poverty. Agriculture still employs over 60% of the workforce, reflecting limited structural transformation. Health and education have improved since independence, but resources remain poor, with limited access to doctors, facilities, and consistent schooling. School life expectancy is barely 3.5 years. Infrastructure projects, such as solar mini-grids, are promising but cover only a fraction of the population and are hampered by broader economic vulnerabilities. African Development Bank, Eritrea Economic Outlook, July 2024, Wikipedia, Health in Eritrea, Trading Economics, Eritrea School Life Expectancy, January 2025, Farsi. EU, AFDB, Desert to Power, April 2025. 5. Regional destabilization and military abuses. Claimed narrative: Eritrea is a force for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. Reality: Eritrean forces have been implicated in grave abuses in Ethiopia's Tigray region, including massacres, looting, rape as a weapon of war, and the abduction of refugees. The regime's involvement in regional conflicts and support for armed groups has contributed to instability across the Horn of Africa. Eritrean refugees in neighboring countries face violence, forced repatriation, and continued persecution. Eritrean Human Rights Post-Rapprochement, January 2025, Human Rights Watch, World Report 2025. 6. Conclusion: despite official claims of progress and resilience, Eritrea remains a country where the majority of people face systematic repression, indefinite forced labor, and limited social mobility. Human rights abuses are persistent and well documented, and development gains are undermined by authoritarian governance and militarization. The government's refusal to engage with international human rights bodies and its ongoing abuses at home and abroad challenge the narrative of a model, self-reliant state. Eritrea's unofficial motto might as well be, "If you want freedom, you better pack your bags." If you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of Eritrean reality, don't forget to subscribe and share, because sometimes the truth deserves a smile, and a share might just open someone's eyes.